I'm pro mean DJs, dog. I'm going to say that I'm as good as I am because a lot of these older DJs were assholes, bro. And I think that is necessary, bro. Timbuktu, God rest his soul. I'm glad, a lot of people would say that about Tim. That he was an asshole. And I'm like, we needed that.
That's how, like, who really knew him, right? Like, if they'd say some shit like that, you're like, oh, you really knew that motherfucker.
Yeah, bro. Like, but I feel like that right there, like, a lot of these DJs, them being assholes, that's what led to me sharpening my sword, bro. Because you knew you were sometimes going to open for these individuals. And you know what time it was going to be if you had a shitty set. Like, they were not going to hold back. And I feel like now we're in that, like, it's okay.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Well, all right. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin.
Welcome back to the Party with Strategy podcast. Very special guest in here today. I'm excited for this episode. He's been evading me.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's been ducking me.
A little bit.
We finally got him. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Fucking Up the Game.
That guy.
The Trapper's Delight.
What up? Damn.
He's got production credits with Chance the Rapper.
Yep.
Worked with various Chicago artists. When I met you, it was through a Cool Kids show at Good Bar with DJ PJ.
Yeah,
JP.
man.
PJ or JP?
Yeah.
DJ PJ.
Yeah.
That's right. And do you remember this dude who was Chip the Rip's manager?
Yeah, Kunal, man.
Kunal.
Shout out to Kunal, bro.
That's right, bro.
Yeah.
You still talk to that guy?
Yeah, man.
For real?
Yeah.
What's he up to?
He's chilling, man. Doing very well. Doing the family thing, man.
Sick.
He's good, man. That's my brother for sure.
No way. That's awesome. You guys stayed in contact all these years. I mean, this had to be what? 15? No, at this point, it's got to be like 20 years ago.
Yeah, bro. And you know what's crazy, bro? I can even take it further back to us first crossing paths was a Guitar Center spin-off competition.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
At the Guitar Center on Halstead?
Yeah. You know how like Guitar Center used to have like the spin-off like competitions?
Yeah. I wasn't in it, right?
Yeah.
Was I just there?
I think you were just
I was just there.
Yeah.
Damn, I don't even remember that. Now that you're saying it, it's like coming back to me blurry a little bit, but were you in it?
Yeah, I was in it.
Who else was
Definitely
in it?
It was me. So I remember the first one was me and DJ Rec. I remember a couple other dudes that were in there, like Mos Def, Johnny Price, couple older dudes that definitely were competing with that cleaning house, bro. We had no business competing, especially me, bro. Like I still got like the VHS of that performance that I just look at and I'd be like, yo.
No way. How old were you?
Man, 15.
15.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Damn. DJ Ozone, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even think I said your name. I think we just went from the intro into talking about Canal.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, that was a time, man. I didn't compete at the second one. I learned my lesson the first one.
Yeah.
Bro, like I don't know. Maybe I was being creative. Maybe I was being delusional. But for some reason I thought it was a great idea to loop apart from Disco Inferno and scratch to it for like a whole 4 minutes. And
4 minutes straight.
4 minutes, bro. Like that was my set. That was my routine.
Oh, that's amazing.
I don't know what I was a very bold young man, I guess.
Hey, we all start somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? You gotta just get in there. Sometimes you gotta loop Disco Inferno for 4 minutes and scratch over it.
Maybe, bro. Probably watching too many Executioner videos.
Yeah. I feel that. Watching Qbert just go to work.
Yeah, bro.
Mixmaster Mike talk to the aliens.
All that, bro. Probably had something to do with that Scratch. Remember the Scratch documentary?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, bro. I was like watching that thing religiously after school for like almost a year straight.
Yeah. Do you remember the part of Scratch where they're talking to DJ Premier? And he's talking about how he hears a beat before he even makes it. He's like, I hear it in my head and I go and I find the samples and I make it.
Yes.
And like Dolo talked about this actually, where he was like, back then, that's kind of what you did was like, you just like say some crazy shit
Yeah.
That's not even true, because I've watched a million DJ Premier videos since then, and especially like he's done that whole series where he takes the floppy disk and
Right.
walks you through the beat, and he's talking about searching for samples and like, oh, we were listening to records and we heard this sample and then we flipped it, and like he's saying the opposite of what he said in Scratch. But in Scratch, like if someone's coming to interview you back then, it wasn't today. Nobody
Right.
had a podcast studio in their room and was putting videos out, 17 videos a day, just like releasing your own content and creating your own story. If you were about to be on film with something, you kind of had to come with something tight. You couldn't just be like, yeah, I listen to records and I hear shit and I just flip it, like,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. It's like, nah, I hear that shit in my head and I create it. Like, you make it this big thing.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time, that like Premier did that, and it stuck with me because I was like, oh dude, Premier, like I was making beats, I'm like, I can't hear the beat in my head before I make it. That's how Premier does it, and he's the fucking best.
Yeah.
But I think he was lying.
Might be half and half.
It could be
Could be half and half,
semi-true.
You know, like sometimes I would hear like certain melodies in my head, and then I just get on my keyboard trying to recreate what I hear.
Yeah.
But I think that's
But
probably
this
the
guy's
closest.
like digging for a sample.
That's what I
which
was
is
just gonna get at. I was
crazy.
like, but for him, you know, I'm like, I don't know how you do that when you got to go through like millions of records to find this infamous.
yeah,
thing
so,
here,
sorry,
man.
a stupid branch, but like when I think of Scratch, that's the first thing I think of is Premier saying that, and then Dolo completely just
Yeah.
busting the myth.
Yep. But you know,
But yeah, I mean,
shout out
that
to Dolo, man.
absolutely, shout out to Dolo. I just saw him. I was in Houston over last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's good times.
I love Houston. Like every time
That
I'm
makes
booked
one of
out
us.
there. But I know it's a place that I have no business living at because I know, man, bro, Houston parties.
They go hard.
Oh my God. Oh my God. When I DJ out there, bro, they're literally bringing me out bottles every 20 minutes. And I'm just there by myself. What
Yeah.
am I supposed to do with all these Clase Azul bottles? Like, they look cool on video, but
You got to drink them all. You can't leave until they're gone.
yeah, I probably make the most friends when I'm in Houston because it's like I'm having to give alcohol to everybody that is around me. That it's like, hey,
Are you playing out there like once a month or every other?
I think
something?
quarterly as of right now.
Dope.
Yeah, especially Vita Garden and Medellin. Those are two spots that definitely
I actually walked by Medellin, and I was wondering what it was.
yeah, it's this new spot. They just opened right there in that same area where, like, you know, Pick Your Poison, Vita Garden, whatever. My homie Mike, him, DJ Pereira from New York, and a couple other parties involved. They just opened that. Shout out to Mike, man. He always, every time he books me out there, gives me the world, bro.
Yeah.
The world.
Dope. It's
Yeah.
always great to go somewhere and just get taken care of and treated, you know, like a star, but also well deservingly.
Yeah.
You're an amazing DJ and you're going out there to do your artistry, and if somebody wants to get the best of your abilities, they gotta schmooze you up a little
Yeah.
bit, put you in a nice place, make sure you're comfortable, taken care of, not worried about things. You're able to go and just fucking crush.
Yeah. But I love it, bro. The energy. It's interesting. You were living out there, right?
I lived out there for 3 years.
What was that like?
It was kind of crazy. I mean, it was not my favorite, as I've expressed on this
Right.
podcast before, but also, as a side note, I will say it was 2020 through 2023. Like, the
Okay.
world had ended in
Yeah.
2020, and it is barely just getting back to where it should be now. So it was crazy times mixed with a new environment, mixed with just chaos.
Yeah.
So it was cool at first because everything was shut down and Houston was wide open.
Yeah.
That was dope. And then there was a big like surge of people and businesses and things flooding Houston, and then it sort of plateaued and the bubble bursted, and nightlife as a whole in this entire country, I think, has shifted and sort of
Oh yeah.
slowed down. So it's part of that as well. Like, you know, it was crazy times.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did it though. I needed it. I needed I needed to hit rock bottom, if we're gonna be honest.
I know
And I
that
did it in
feeling.
Houston.
Well, we're glad to have you back, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it. How you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling good, bro. Just hanging in there, kind of like trying to figure out where all this is going. Especially
Yeah?
with
What do you got
nightlife.
going on?
Nightlife is I feel like it's very different right now. It's just everything.
It's definitely in the midst of a shift.
Yeah. And I don't know what direction is going, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you can gauge, you know how like, all right, cool, I'm broke right now, but I know I'm getting paid next week, where it's like you always have like, I'm using that more as a metaphor kind of thing where it's like, that at some point what direction something's going to go. But I think with this, I'm like, so are we just going to keep closing nightclubs and keep doing more coffee parties or what?
In Chicago right now, some weeks to me it feels amazing.
Yeah.
Nightlife. It's like we're doing this new thing and we're turning this corner and we're shifting into something new and fun, which for me is like dance music, dance floors, things like that. And then some weeks it just feels sad and scary. And you're like, damn, there's not a lot of people out. What's going on? Places are closing.
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit of both
Yeah.
at the same time, just depending on the day or the week. But I think it's good. I think it's good. I think it's overall good. I think it has to get worse before it gets better. So on the weeks when I'm feeling like sad and scared, that's what I think. I'm like, damn, it's got to get worse before it gets better. And then when I'm feeling good about it, I'm like, okay, this is the direction we're heading.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
I feel that, that's a good perspective. I'm definitely borrow that one.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just like, all right, what's happening here? Like, where's this all going? But
Yeah, sometimes it feels crazy. Where
makes
are you
sense.
playing at a lot? You're holding residencies right now? Where can people find you?
For sure. At least minimum twice a month. Wednesdays at Go Coast Social.
Okay.
Saturdays at Soul, which was Mansion in Stone Park.
Okay.
So there's those two for sure. Everything else is just like one-off.
Just filling it in.
Whether it's like one-off at Blind Barber or, one-off at Tunnel, Galleria. So, but for the most part, those first two that I named, those are like my go-tos.
Yeah.
And been getting booked for a lot of like more like pop-up parties, and a lot of the DJ homies like their own like parties that they're doing. So
I saw you do that Latin pop-up with the green neon sign. What is
Sentido.
it?
Yeah, bro. That's actually one of my favorite. Like, I'm on my third one that I'm booked for another one March 14th.
Dope.
That one's gonna be real cool. Because I feel like I'm gonna be a little bit more hands-on in the sense of like we're doing it at a Dominican restaurant that's probably been around since the 90s. So it's like a Dominican staple, and to be able to like both worlds cross path as far as like, me as a Dominican and, what I've done as a DJ to a staple spot and really make something magical. Like, I'm looking forward to that, bro. Like that's probably been like one of my favorite pop-ups, events, whatever, to DJ, like, because it's a non-club environment. So it's like, I feel like people got their guard down in a way. You get what I'm saying? Nobody's like worried about like, how many bottles they popped or wore this, wore that to the club. All that weirdo stuff that gets crossed in the mix of
I feel that.
this nightlife stuff.
Is it all Latin music? Is it one genre?
Yeah. So like the whole thing with Sentido, the whole thing of them starting that was to basically figure out a way how to bring more awareness to a lot of these like mom and pop businesses. So it'll be like a family who probably has like, like I'm just making stuff, like an ice cream shop, and they'll come in and do like this one-off party, design a t-shirt, just create like a whole experience around it. And it's not just limited to like food places. Like they done tire shops, I did a mechanic shop, like all these different like elements that are really cool, you know, places where you normally wouldn't think of there being a party kind of thing. But I like the fact that, you know, the whole intention is to, you know, bring awareness to of these businesses that a lot of people know about or don't know about, and learn some pretty cool things. Because right before they drop the flyer, they do like a profile on like the spot, so kind of like showcasing the space, the business, and conversations with the business owners in regards to how they feel about, you know, music and how it connects with them, because that's the whole thing. Since you're connecting music to the business,
Yeah.
kind of get that. And on the first year, they were able to generate about 90K, I believe is what I read, for these businesses, you know, like collectively.
That's really
So,
dope. I didn't know anything about any of that side of it. I thought it
Yeah.
was just a pop-up, but there's so much more to it,
Yeah,
which is
man.
really tight.
Yeah, shout out to the whole Sentido team. Shout out to Oscar. You know, I'm definitely like thankful and happy that they allowed me to, you know, play parts in a lot of these events, because it's super cool, bro, and it makes me happy again to like be able to DJ. I feel like sometimes, I don't know if you experience this, but there's been times, you know, in being in nightlife so long, that you kind of reach points where it's like it starts to feel like a job,
Absolutely.
you know, and that's where the fun kind of like goes away a little bit, and you almost have to figure out ways how to recalibrate, I guess, and you know, how to make something that you are passionate about, that you done put your whole heart and soul into, you know, exciting again.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's probably like, you know, I think I almost associate it with like what I imagine what it's probably to be married for a long time, you know, because I'm sure
I'll let
like
you know soon.
marriage has, yo, you know, like all these things have their peaks and valleys. So, I feel like things like that, you know, kind of give that spark again, at least for me.
I can, I can definitely relate. And I think what you're saying is true, because there was a point after Houston when I came home and I was mega burnt, and I told myself, I was like, I don't even want to DJ anymore, like for a living. Like I'll never stop DJing, but it got to a point where I wasn't loving it anymore. And waking up and dreading wanting to go to work, like that's not something I ever experienced in my life. It's not something I ever want for my life. I've built a life avoiding that for the last 36 years. So when it got to that point, I was like, all right, I think it's time to like get a job. My boy has this title company. I was like, yo, like send me whatever I need to start reading up on how to become a title agent. I'll fucking study. I'll take the test. I'll do that. I'll work for you. I'll be able to make money. I'll be able to make you money. Like we can build something. That was my idea. And about 25 minutes into trying to read how to become a title agent, I quickly realized that I would much rather wake up every morning and hate DJing than ever do anything else. I was like, oh, I'm not doing anything other than this. So now I have to figure out how to do it and love it again. So that sort of became a mission of mine, and what brought me to, you know, the last year of being the resident at Celeste and learning dance music and playing disco and like loving house and just this whole new area of DJing that I'd never experienced or been before.
Yeah, but see that right there, sometimes it takes like those moments of where we almost like semi digress into other things to kind of realize like, yo, this is not as bad as I think it is.
For sure.
You know, because I've definitely had those moments as well where it's like, yeah, I'd rather wake up every day and hate that I have to go to DJ.
I hate that I have to go take these shots and
Yeah.
play this music and have a good time and pretend to like that I'm partying. Like it's crazy when you like pull back and really think about it. You're like, am I insane?
I've felt like that many times, many times. And even like, you know, in the midst of a lot of trial and error within that. It's also helped me figure out how to balance myself better from a health aspect, the mental health aspect, you know, knowing when it's like time to like, all right, I need to chill. Like, for example, like right now, I haven't drank in 182 days, bro.
Wow, congratulations. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And it's just like one of those things where it's like, you know, I don't got like no crazy like drunk story or any like quote unquote issues with alcohol. It was just like my body felt like I needed a break. And this break was only supposed to go from like September 1st to my birthday, which was something I did very often. But then my birthday came, I didn't drink. I was like, maybe New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve came, I didn't drink. So now I'm just like seeing how long I'll go, just because I know, especially working in nightlife, and how alcohol is just literally like right there for you, like in the sense of like I'm good at not like there'll be nights where I'll go to work, I won't even go to the bar, and it's like I can go without drinking. It's more like, you know, when a lot of like people who love my craft, you know, my supporters, fans, whatever, are coming to the DJ booth. Yo, here's a shot. Oh, take the shot, Ozone. And you know, it's like one or two people, but when it's like 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, you're gonna leave out of there, you know,
Ready for some Taco Bell.
oh yeah, faithfully. Taco Bell, or you know, I'm a White Castle baby, bro.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I know.
White Castle's
I
crazy,
know. I blame
dog.
my
Wait,
mom,
what's
bro.
your order?
I blame my mom. You know, I'm gonna get that the 4, the infamous 4, bro. Those 4 little burgers with cheese, extra pickles, and that orange high C. Some fries,
Damn.
cheese on the fries.
No chicken rings?
I used to, bro. They had like this certain seasoning. I don't even know what it was called, and they discontinued it. So I made my exit with the chicken rings. And
Damn.
that chicken rings was on there.
White Castle was always, for me, like, you get the sides. I was never a fan of the sliders, but like I fuck with the mozzarella sticks. I fuck with the chicken rings. They got some good sides over there.
I blame my mom, bro, because apparently that was her pregnancy craving food.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, because you know you always hear these stories about people who don't do very well with White Castle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't relate.
It's
Like,
your spinach.
I've never had, but I'm like, this makes sense. I was like pretty much trained
Yeah,
for
bro.
this, you know.
You were
Early
born for
on.
this shit,
yeah,
bro.
literally.
That's amazing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off
Nah,
and
you
change the
good, bro.
subject. But yeah, I mean, when there's, you know, 7 people want to come take a shot with you in the booth, before you know it, you're 7 shots deep.
Yeah, man. 7 shots deep. Taco night. Waking up to text messages of people I probably should not have been texting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the good
Waking
days.
up next to somebody maybe I should not have been waking up to. You know, the world is yours till you wake up the next morning.
Absolutely.
You know,
So you're not craving alcohol. Do you feel yourself supplementing it with something else? You got like gummy worms in the booth or something? Are you smoking weed? Like, is there anything that's filled the void of this thing that you have been doing for the last however many years?
not really. I still smoke weed. I'm like a night smoker, so I'm not like a person who I'm not a functional high person, so I can't smoke during the day, but like I smoke weed at night because that's what relaxes me.
Mm-hmm.
Helps me go to sleep. So still got that going. Not really. I have noticed a couple different interesting things since my departure, I guess, or temporary departure from drinking alcohol. And I feel like I've noticed I used to deal with like depression a little bit, and I noticed that kind of like faded away
Oh, really?
a lot drastically. So I'm like, and I know like in certain scenarios like alcohol is a depressant. Supposedly there's one that isn't. It's
Blanco tequila.
is it?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. Jameson.
Is that what they say?
One of
That's
my
what
homies told me, or maybe he's just trying to coerce me into.
That's
drinking.
the Irish trying to fucking get in everyone's good graces.
Oh,
Come
okay.
drink our shit. It doesn't depress you.
Yeah. Allegedly, it's an antidepressant. I don't know how true that is.
No way. I mean, I would love to look that up, but that's nuts. I can't
Yeah.
imagine any form of alcohol being less of a depressant than any other form.
Yeah, so I noticed the depression for sure. It's like gone away. I think another thing though that I wouldn't say it's been bad, but it's almost like I've had to teach myself how to DJ again. And what I mean by that is like not necessarily from a technical side, but I feel like when you're under the influence of alcohol, especially when it comes to hosting on the mic, you feel more free versus I feel like by nature, I'm more of an introvert. So when it comes to like hosting on the mic sober, like it felt forced to the point I kind of like even put a pause on it. Then I kind of like broke through it, and I feel like now it's like, all right, cool. Starting to get my personality again as far as the hosting part. And yeah, so that was interesting. So it's funny, like my homie Jay Santos, he was like, yo, I gave up liquor for Lent. He's like, these last two sets make me feel like they were trash. And I'm telling him, like, nah, bro, it's not that they were trash. You just on a different mental space now, and you almost gotta like retrain yourself to, be good with doing this without that. Which I'm not gonna lie, like I didn't realize how much it played a part at times. And find that interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I would taking a shot, drinking, it always just seems to, lower the little voice in your head that might be telling you like, oh, that you got on the mic and said that shit, that was stupid or something. Or like, don't say that, don't do this, don't blah, blah, blah. Like just the little voice that fucking
don't carry
is
people on your
chirping
shoulders.
at you. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
So I could definitely see having to retrain your brain, having to fucking just get in there and might feel like shit at the beginning, but like you said, you powered through and you're back, baby.
No regrets, man. No regrets. And, I'm not here to like create this whole notion or idea that it's like, oh, I'm never going to drink again, right? Because I don't think that was like my initial reasoning why I stopped drinking. But I just feel like right now that's just the path I'm supposed to be in.
Yeah.
It just feels like that's just what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Maybe, if eventually I do, then it is what it is. But like right now, this feels right, and this feels like what's supposed to be happening at the moment. And I'm just running with it. And I feel good about it. Like I was 228 pounds when I first stopped, September 1st. And now I'm like 209. So clearly there's been a lot of good things that's come from it, weight loss, glowy skin.
Bro, I mean, if you're losing weight and you're not depressed, that's like the ultimate advertisement for not drinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's amazing. Congratulations, bro. That's fucking sick.
See how long this goes. I'm with it, though. Regardless, the fact that I'm almost 200 days in, like, that says a lot to myself in the sense of, really having power over something, some sense of discipline, whatever.
Yeah. I feel like maybe that adds to the re-falling in love with DJing thing is, you've been drinking and DJing for so long. It's just normal. They go hand in hand. And then if you really want to challenge yourself and re-fall in love with something and make it hard again and go through the learning process, because like that's what made me fall in love with it originally, was just learning it in the beginning. Like sitting in my bedroom with a shitty little controller trying to scratch records and like put things together, and just the hunger for like, holy shit, I'm discovering things.
Yeah.
Like you don't get that after 10 years of just doing the same shit, playing the same songs, rocking the same crowds, doing your thing. Like, you get to a point where you're good enough, and then you take that into the real world and people start to pay you for what you're doing, and that's great, you're doing it, but then you hit a ceiling, you hit a plateau. Not you, I personally.
Same.
And to then shake shit up, to switch it up, to do something that maybe you're fearful of, like, damn, if I stop drinking, that voice is going to be there. Yeah. It's like, it's scary, but like, that's the only way you're going to grow is if you do some scary shit.
Yeah. Like, and I think maybe that's a whole nother thing too, that maybe why I've also kept, that I'm like, yo, I'm in pretty deep now as far as like how many days I've gone. Like, I'm like, what I also don't want to happen is like that, you know, because I've gone so long that one day I drink and turn into the Wolf of Wall Street. you know? So, you know, probably if I do, I'll probably kick it off with some wine.
Yeah, something chill.
Yeah. I'm back, bitches. Like, you know, like, nah.
That's amazing. No, that's dope, dude. That's dope. Congratulations. That's inspiring. I love that. I mean, drinking and DJing, they go hand in hand, bro. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is location. You're obviously DJing in spots where the bills are paid. Your paycheck is coming from alcohol. If people aren't buying alcohol at the spot, you aren't getting paid. So like, alcohol is literally paying you. It's part of what you do. It's supporting you. And another part of it, I think, like you said, is I think most DJs are introverted people, and a little alcohol helps you get to be an extrovert a little bit. So it's like, it's just in there. It's a thing. It's something we all think about constantly. And I think a lot of us think about, can I do this without alcohol? Mm-hmm. And you're doing it.
Yeah, bro. And it feels great. It feels great, especially because, you know, all the things that I mentioned. And again, just knowing that I have the power to, you know, cut it off whenever I choose to. Not saying that I ever felt like I had any trouble with that. But, you know, I think there was a lot of times where I would catch myself like going a little overboard just from the social aspect of it. You know, especially when you're DJing 2-3 parties in one night, you know, that'll do it, you know. And even like the times like when I had like certain liquor sponsorships, like during my Hennessy era, my De Leon tequila era.
De Leon, did they sponsor you?
Yeah, nice. Both of those companies, but I just remember like De Leon's not the best.
It wasn't the best, but to have a sponsor is tight.
Yeah, no,
I'll drink fucking gasoline if they're paying me.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, you know,
shouts to long drink. It's delicious.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, I feel good, bro. I'm just gonna keep this running. See where it takes me. You know, making the best of it.
I want to talk about like starting. I want to talk about your story. Mm-hmm. I want to know more. I have, you know, bits and pieces just from following you on social media along the way and being in the same city, but I want the real deal. I want the nitty gritty.
Let's get it.
I also want to start with like, you've been playing Latin music since you started DJing.
Sort of.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I like that. We'll get into that. Let's start there.
Cool. So my journey begins, and I know it's like a very common story. Probably people from like our generation, like, because it's very often I hear the story of like people who say they started DJing because they saw the movie Juice. I was one of those kids, you know, like watching that opening scene and literally like, I don't know what that is, but that's what I want to do. Like, I remember that vividly, like 3rd grade. I remember I was in music band, and I remember like going to school the next day and like telling the music teacher, like, do we have turntables? I want to play turntables. And, you know, he's just like into this whole thing. That's not an instrument. Like, all right, fine. I'll stick to this trumpet.
You got to fire that guy.
Yeah, bro. And Shout out to that guy, bro. He because I feel like from the producer standpoint, that's what set the tone to like really doing well in that area. So yeah, I was a band nerd, and I literally held on to that dream of being a DJ all the way to I was 15, and I remember this vividly. It was I got my first job, and I saved my first 2 paychecks, and I bought like a entry level set of like Geminis. They weren't even direct drive, they were belt drive. So I'm like, save these 2 checks. I ordered these things through a magazine. It was like a package came with the mixer. Like,
yeah, the box kit, the Gemini starter kit.
Yes, that one. And I'm like excited. This thing arrives. I'm putting it together, and here I am starting to scratch. It's like, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, and so then further along the line, I find out that the reason why I can't scratch the way I want to is because they were belt drive, and it was basically a mediocre set. But fast forward, God works in mysterious ways. There was a brother from that was around, and he was like I'm sure it probably still is up there, but like how do I put this? He held a big leadership position in the Latin Kings.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And one day he runs into me and he's like, hey, oh, you still doing that DJ stuff? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, somebody owed me some money, but they didn't have the money, so I got their DJ equipment instead.
They gave it to him. We'll say they gave it to him.
Yeah. And
willingly.
Yeah. It was literally 2 Techniques 1200s, a Vestex mixer.
Sick.
Some other items that I cannot remember, but it probably had to be like anywhere between like $4,000 to $5,000 worth of equipment. And he was like, give me $500 and you can take it all. And I'm like, I don't have $500. I'm like, I just spent my first 2 paychecks on this shitty box of crap to try to scratch on. And he's like, all right, bro, just go ahead and take it and pay me whenever you get some money. You can
That's
pay
pretty
me
tight.
So now I'm geeked because I'm literally got 2 Techniques, a Vestex mixer, all this other stuff, and that's where it kicks off. I fell in love with DJing from like the turntablist aspect of it. So at no point did I care about like rocking parties or none of that. I literally was like super bent on watching all these Qbert videos and the Executioners, and the list goes on. And that's what I wanted to do, which that goes into the whole like me entering like these competitions like Guitar Center spinoff, and the whole thing was that eventually I had to make it to the DMC.
Yep.
After that first competition at Guitar Center, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna put that on pause. So then from there, I started getting into producing. One of my homies was using Acid 3.0, and I would see him make beats on there, and I just fell in love with that. So I did that for a minute, kind of put the DJing in the back burner a little bit, still incorporating it because there was certain beats I was making where I would add like scratches to them on some DJ Premier shit, and that was cool. Like I was having a good time. I was definitely giving beats to a lot of like early on Chicago artists. I had good mentors at the time, like people who were allowing me to come to their spaces and showing me things and mentoring me. Shout out to the Moment, shout out to Panic.
Absolutely, shout out to the Mo, man.
Yeah, man.
That's fucking Chicago underground hip hop royalty.
Yeah, bro. Yes. Dumb and All Natural. I feel like those were like 2 groups of people that really like, gave me opportunities to like, showcase my beats and have them on projects. Obviously, it wasn't like nothing crazy, but to me at the time meant the world. Like to me, like being able to like rub shoulders with these individuals, like to me that was everything, and that's literally what kept me going, and that opened a lot of doors. The producer side of things. I remember my homie DJ Rec. He started DJing in the 18 and over parties, and I would kind of go with him on some just hangout thing, and I kind of like was like, you know what, I want to get into this aspect of DJing now, and did that. Shout out to DJ Rec. That's my fucking up the game partner in crime. From there, like entering the 21 and over world, with my homie DJ Trilogy. Trilogy used to actually pick. I used to be like 19 years old. He used to pick me up and like have me shadow him at these 21 and over clubs. That's why like my transition to 21 and over clubs was easier than most, because I kind of had like, this person kind of like help me and guide me, and I was able to see.
That's dope. Where was Trilogy playing? Like, where were these parties at?
For sure, I remember the Funky Buddha Lounge. That was one of them. This spot that was out in Milwaukee used to be called Teeny Martini.
Where's that? Like Wicker Park, Milwaukee?
Teeny Martini was more Logan Square, Milwaukee. So like near the Congress Theater area by there. So yeah, those were like for sure two spots. I remember he was doing other stuff too. He was working at that time. So yeah, like it was like to the point that sometimes when he didn't like pick me up, obviously because I would walk in with him, I'm not 21 yet. Mm-hmm. Like I would show up to these spaces with my backpack and just say that I'm DJing. And that's when I kind of figured out the cheat code to get into 21 and over clubs. Just put your backpack on and tell the bouncer you're DJing. They're not even checking your ID. They're just, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So then came that one time where it's like I actually turned 21 and everybody was like,
you're celebrating your 21st birthday at the club?
Yeah, and I'm just like, yeah. Gotcha. And yeah, bro, and it's been a journey ever since, where it's like, producing and DJing and all the doors it has opened for me, and that's like my first love, bro. That's my passion, and that's why to this day, like, I'm still at it. I'm still going and always figuring out ways to make it work.
That's fucking sick. So what, you got some beats, like what Chicago rappers were rapping on your beats? Like Mole Men, All Natural,
yeah,
Era,
man, Capital
or
D,
Scene.
Definitely one that I never got that probably would have been like the greatest thing for me ever. Still would be to this day, but like I know back then I would have lost my marbles. MC Juice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like to me, if I would have got an MC Juice placement back then, bro,
I could have died happy.
Yeah.
Like that would have been. Yeah. It's so crazy because that dude is a fucking absolute legend in this city.
Yeah.
Like I just have the most amazing memories of driving through this city, listening to Juice rap extremely well about this city.
Yes.
And like just something about, you're like, man, this is. My brother did a song with him. My brother paid him for a feature.
Okay.
Had him featured on one of his tracks. And I remember him telling us in the studio about how he would go to LA and people would talk shit about Chicago and he would try and fight him for it. And I would be like, that's nuts. What? You're fighting people just because they're like talking shit about a city? That's crazy. But like now, not saying I would do that, but I just understand it more. I'm like, I get it. Like you fucking rep this shit because it made you, Yeah. It was kind of dope.
Bro. So there was, a lot of the early on stuff was that. Then I kind of like made my way to like, little more known rappers like in the underground scene, like Immortal Technique.
Oh, sick, yeah.
That to me was like a milestone back then. Like,
yeah, bro.
All right, cool. That was awesome. Then, making my way up to like Joel Ortiz, then from there, like going, I actually did a collab mixtape with Mobb Deep.
Damn.
Like before Prodigy passed away. And I had some production on that tape. Basically, my whole pitch was this. How I was able to get a lot of these artists was what I would do is, in this like mixtape era, I'd pitch to them the idea of, it usually came along with them that they were gonna do a show in the city, and I'd be like, yo, you got like some unreleased records or acapellas that like, let's collab on a mixtape that I feel will bring more awareness to the show you're gonna do here.
That's
how I
fucking
would sell,
really
that's how I
smart.
would
Yeah.
sell the idea to them, and they'd be like, oh yeah, man, we're trying to like, you know, like get our Chicago following up, blah blah blah. And so like I would literally,
This was like on Facebook or what?
This was MySpace.
MySpace. Yeah, that's genius, bro.
So that's how I was able to get, you know, a lot of these mixtapes at the time, you know, and they'd be like official mixtapes, like, they'd send me like the recordings of them like doing the intros and all that. So that helped me a lot in the mixtape circuit. But I feel like the one that did it for me, that was like took me from like just maybe local on a more international, was when I did Cool Ass Ninjas for the Cool Kids.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one that shot me up. And you know, like I was showcasing my production through these projects, so like it was a way to me figuring out like, okay, how can I get my name out there as a DJ producer? And yeah, we kept that going for a while.
That's awesome. Well, I want to talk about Cool Ass Ninjas.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
All right. Let me just pee real quick first, and I want to know how that came about. Real quick, I just want to let you guys know that Long Drink is back to sponsoring the show. That's right, the best drink that you can get, the #1 cocktail in a can. It's not a seltzer. It doesn't come in one of those stupid, long, skinny cans that makes you look like an idiot stick when you're drinking it. This is the best drink that you can get. Anybody I give one to asks me what it is, where it's from, and why they've never had one before. The reality of the situation is this: life's short, so have a long drink. Go support them because they support us. We're getting back to the show. Let's go, champ. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah, tell me about Cool Ass Ninjas. How did that come about? Did you know the Cool Kids prior to that, or did you reach out to them on the same shit? Like, let me make this mixtape for you.
I had met them on occasions, just on some like what up type beat. But my homie Ruben and Demo, they were a little bit more involved with them on some sort of managing type beat. And it was really them who I reached out to with the whole idea of like, yo, I've been doing this, I want to do basically the same thing with them. Like, and they're like, cool, I'll talk to them. And they were on board. What was interesting about that, you know, it was same thing, same format. You know, it gave me a lot of unreleased records and stuff that they had in the vault. And obviously did what I usually did with DJ Rec. Because it was me and DJ Rec, that was like our thing, putting out these mixtapes. And they were, you know, the buzz is crazy at that time for them. But I didn't think they thought the mixtape was going to go as far as it did. At this same time, I'm working at the basement. And so all my mixtapes, you know, obviously they sold mixtapes as well. So that was like another platform that I would use to my advantage to be able to like get my music out. And I remember getting to the basement one day where we were selling the Cool Ass Ninjas mixtape. And Shabazz is like, yo, I just got this email from a record store in Japan. They want 500 copies. And I'm like, what, for real? And he like go to his office, and I'm looking at like, all right, let's do this then.
That's dope, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then you know, start getting a lot of orders like that from different places around the world. And
so how does that work back then? They want 500 copies. Did you just make them up? You printed all 500 yourself?
Yeah.
You made the artwork?
Yep.
Threw it in there?
Yep.
And sold it to them?
Yes.
So how much money did you make, if you mind me asking, if you made any at all?
We made, I can't think of an exact number. I know for sure it was in the thousands.
Oh, yeah, dude, that's fucking sick.
Yeah, it was
Japan
great.
wants your music, and you're selling it to them for real fucking money.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Because like right now, you put something on Spotify and someone in Japan can play it 1 million times and you'll get a little couple bucks.
Yeah.
But like this is pre all of that. That's insane.
Yeah, bro. The mixtape game, man. What I know, a lot of homies, like a lot of older homies who really made some money, like dudes that were definitely living like drug dealers. You know, like that's how much money that, like, I didn't realize how profitable that lane was until like later, you know, like for example, like the downfall of like DJ Drama and that whole Rico case he got with that, like, you know, it's a time.
It's a lot of money. Yeah, I think
it was a time, man.
I feel like, and I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but I feel like when people think about the mixtape era and you're like selling mixtapes out of your trunk type thing, it's like there wasn't money to be made. But people are making dough. Like this is
money, bro.
They're making way more money doing that than you are releasing music on Spotify right now.
Yeah. And the reason why I reference like the, you know, and this is like all like public knowledge because he talks about it in podcasts, and that's my brother. Like somebody that was real big on the mixtape game here in the city was DJ Damian Cash, you know, and like he always tells the stories about like he was making like crazy money, like, you know, he was like buying Benzes and stuff just off mixtape money, and he was just like, you know, I was making so much money that when that started to decline because of like, you know, streaming and etc., all these things that came into play that pretty much like put a big dent, he was like, I then transitioned into the drug game, which, you know, then eventually led to, you know, a downfall with that and him having to do time. But it's like, you know, I always talk about this thing when it comes to nightlife money, because I'm like, nightlife money and drug money are almost in the same place. And the reason why I say that is because it's so fast, right? And I can speak on that because I remember the last job I've ever had was T-Mobile. And I remember what it took me to make 2 weeks at T-Mobile, I made it sometimes in 1 or 2 nights. Which that's what kind of led to my transition from the 9-to-5 world, where it was like, hold on, I'm giving these people 40 hours to make the money that I'm giving this place 2 hours. And I'm like, maybe I should restructure my time investment. And, you know, but that's the thing with nightlife. It's like, you know, you also get caught up in, at least for me, some things that I had to correct was finding myself like as somebody who was always into like fashion and clothing and stuff, where it's like I would like buy, I don't know, $500 t-shirt because in my mind I'm like, oh, I'll get this right back tonight, which is a very toxic way to drive yourself into going broke, which I've also been there. But, you know, you live and you learn, and, you know, you fix the problems and you go get back to it. But
yeah, that's a pretty classic nightlife spending habit.
Yeah.
I feel like you start making some good money and you're like, oh, this money's just here. Anytime I walk through this door, I'll just get it back.
yeah. So when people make fun of, you know, the bottle girls transitioning to real estate, I'm like, well, if y'all knew what kind of money these girls were making, you would understand why, you know, they're not, you know, going to work at Costco. You know, you get used to a certain lifestyle, you know, and you almost like chase that in whatever other thing you can find.
Yeah. And it's also hard to, you know, something we see a lot of is people that want to get out of nightlife because it's like killing them and they're drinking too much.
Yeah.
But then any other job, they're not making the money they're making from nightlife. So they're like, oh, well, I'll just work 1 shift over here. I'll just work 2 shifts over here. Oh, this new club's opening. I'll work at the new club. Like, it's hard to get out of because the money's too good.
Yeah.
Even if it's destroying you.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. Whole lot of that. And that's why, you know, some people think that it's all fun and games and a one big giant party when it comes to this working in this industry, and they don't understand a lot of the tolls it takes on you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, you know, at times financially, because I've had moments and months where I'm, you know, booked sometimes even 7 days a week. I have moments and months where I've been literally playing every day, and I've seen it go from that to like maybe 3 bookings in a month type thing. And you're just like, and if you didn't take the proper measures during that time, you were making a lot of money, then them slow times gonna bite you in the ass. And you know, I learned, you know, I learned from a lot of times of things that I didn't know how to manage and how to do, and those lessons definitely put me in the good situations of like being smarter with my finances. You know, it's like this saying that goes, save your money because one day it'll save you. Like that shit is 100% on point, especially in this lifestyle, bro.
Yeah.
Especially in this lifestyle.
Money is freedom. If you got a couple bucks in the bank that you can fall back on, you get to tell the shitty gig that is burdening your mind, I'm good.
Yes.
I'm gonna stay at the crib. I'll make some beats. I'll do something that will progress me further to the gigs that I want to get.
Yeah. Or now, you know, like, so for example, like that was always like my thing. I feel like now my version of that is that I'm late to the party, but I'm still glad I'm slowly but surely making that transition. The whole thing with making content, like a lot of friends of mine, a lot of homies of mine, and, you know, just people in general were telling me to do this thing, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I was being like the old stubborn DJ of like, nah, that's corny, bro. Like, I'm not what? Like, you want me to be in front of a video with a bunch of people pretending to have fun behind me? Like, I was definitely looking at shit in a very, like, you know, angry old DJ.
Yeah, I know all about it.
And you spoke on this last, I saw a video where you were speaking on this. Hilarious and so on point. But, yeah, I was on that type of time, and I came to a point where I was like, you know what? Let me give this a shot. Did a couple mashups here and there that I enjoyed, but I feel like didn't do anything crazy. And then recently I actually had like a clip that I did while I was DJing one of the Sentido events. It's literally just me crash mixing 2 songs, bro. That's it. Nothing crazy. Obviously there's people behind me having a good time, generally having a good time. They're not paid actors.
Yeah.
I assume some of these videos are paid actors, because I'm just like, you ever see the reactions on some of these people? Like, I was watching this video, the dude just pressed one button and somebody in the background like, and I'm just like, yo, man, dry your panties. He just press the Q button.
That's actually so funny because I haven't thought about that, but you're so right that like a lot of those videos are more scripted than they aren't.
Yeah.
You know, you got your friends there, or maybe there's legit paid actors from Craigslist, like motherfuckers looking to get into videos.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I'm gonna hit this button, just go, you know, go crazy.
Yeah, bro. So to circle back to that whole video where it's like, yeah, I've done all these different like cool mashups that I've enjoyed. You know, it's just the producer in me. I've put them out, you know, they'll do a couple views here and there, but nothing spectacular. I do this video where I just crash mix Guatauba by Plan B and into Bad Bunny, Verdad, which are basically 2 songs that have like a very similar type of drum pattern. And all I put was, and just to give more context, Plan B and that song Guatauba, it's like a early 2000s popular reggaeton song. And my thing was like, POV, you realize that Guatauba by Plan B walked so that Verdad by Bad Bunny could run. That was literally, it's a crash mix, and that was it. And next thing you know, like this thing went like crazy viral on TikTok. Like, you know, hasn't hit the 1 million views yet, but I think we're like at 300K.
That's sick.
But in comparison to all my videos that were just like 1,000 views, 500 views, I'm just like, it's interesting how this stuff works, because I would have thought that the mashups, because they're a little bit more unique, would have been the thing. And it's like, no, I guess my quote unquote baby viral moment comes from just me crash mixing 2 songs.
Yeah, but also
Slamming,
your
whatever.
your hook, your the POV, this
Yeah.
one walks so this one could run, like that's a big part of it too.
Yeah.
That's good. That's like that's some shit that would make someone want to share it with their friend and
Yeah.
relate to him. Like, oh, this dude did this and he's right.
Yeah.
This song came out first, but this one kind of sounds like it. You know, like
Yeah.
that definitely, I think, probably helped a lot.
So, you know, obviously I'm still learning this world as far as content creating and all that. But what that made me realize is that I might think there's a certain formula to this because I see everybody doing mashups. So I'm thinking like, yeah, do a mashup, like it's gonna hit. And it's like, no. And then you just do something that's so simple and it goes crazy. So I feel like what that taught me is like, you know, don't necessarily think that it's just gonna be that one thing. Like you gotta keep shooting, and see what's gonna be that thing that's gonna. Have you ever had something like that happen to you, where it's like, because I know you at this point, like you're a content king, bro. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've had a bunch of times like shit that I think is gonna do really well just flop,
yeah,
and then just like random shit goes crazy, and you're like, what? That's nuts. But for your example, to me, what it sounds like is like you were like, all right, I'm ready to do some content. What's popping? Let me see. Oh, these mashups are popping. Let me hop on that. And it didn't take off. But then when you're just doing you
Yeah.
completely,
Yes.
no trying to mimic anything,
right,
that's what took off for
Yeah.
you. And that's what it is just doing you. People want to see you. They don't want to see you do someone else's thing.
Yeah.
They just want to see you do you.
yeah, bro. That you hit it right on the money, man. That makes total sense. Also, another thing that I learned about this, and it's funny because it was actually from watching a video where you were talking about the whole video that you did with scratching in the drive-through.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you had posted it before,
Yeah. I mean, that
and it
video's
didn't
from
do
like,
what it did the second time. So it's like that also kind of made me realize, like, you know, just because you filmed something and it might not get the results you want, like, doesn't mean that you should give up on it because, you know, might have been wrong timing.
yeah, for sure. I'm like, yeah, right now, I'm like riding this wave right now. I posted that drive-through video last week or something and it went crazy. And then a couple other videos have kind of been taken off. I'm like riding this slight wave and sort of figuring it out for myself right now too. And I'm so happy that I have all this well of content
Yeah.
from the last 10 years, legit 10 years. I've been making stupid videos.
Yeah. Which I've enjoyed very much, bro. Especially when like you and Dolo used to do them videos back then, bro. Them skits and shit. Man, bro, I loved it. I'm
Thank you, bro. I appreciate
Yo,
it.
like-
I appreciate it. I have always enjoyed that, like that part of it. I mean, that's like what it was back then when we were doing that. The mentality was fuck the music.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit about the music. Brody Jenner is DJing at Parliament where I want to be DJing. He's not this incredible DJ. No one
Right.
gives a shit about his music. He's just popular from TV or content or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck it is. So like that was the mindset. Now it's completely the opposite. I'm like, it's all about the music. That's what's sustainable. If I'm going to be a DJ, like I hit rock bottom saying fuck the music.
Right.
But like then I had to realize like I'm a fucking DJ. It's literally all about the music.
Yeah.
So like now that I'm focused on that and I have all this content from back then, I'm like, so a lot of it I can't use. It's a little explicit.
All right.
Got about 7 different Instagram accounts shut down. So we're going to keep those in the vault. But I do have some dumb ones like the drive-through scratch video that I'm like, I can still use this even though my mindset has shifted,
Yeah.
you know?
Are you saying like it has shifted from like the send nudes era strategy?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like that's all I cared about. When I was waking up and I'm thinking about going to work and I'm like, oh God, I'm fucking hungover and tired and fat and disgusting. I haven't showered in 3 days. But like, I'm going to go out tonight and probably get some pussy. So that's tight. Like that was all I thought about. Now I'm like, wake up, I'm like, dude, I get to play these fucking weird, cool disco songs that I enjoy for people in this little room that are gonna like them too. Like that gets me going.
Yeah. See, bro, but it's like constant reinvention of ourselves, where it's like we enter different phases, outgrow certain ones, and it's like finding, all right, what's the new thing that brings me joy in this new chapter, in this new phase. And I think that's the part where all the magic happens, to be able to look back and seeing like the growth, you know, from all angles of it, you know, like personally, but also as a DJ, as a creative.
Yeah. And I think it's like, I don't know, I love it so much now. I love this growth thing, like has, to me at least, proven that it is worthy. I'm like, I'm still around. Like I imagined a day when I stopped doing the send nudes thing and like I just fizzled out and and I never, you know, I'm working at, I don't know, Tilted Kilt in the suburbs somewhere, DJing for some wings and $100 because that's all I did was spend the last 10 years DJing, and I didn't go to college and like whatever. But that's just not the reality. I ditched the send nudes thing because it was no longer serving me, but like I'm still me, and whatever it is that's serving me, it's in the machine now. I'm doing my thing with it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, bro. And I think that's always the biggest part. Like, even with me, like, I feel like there was a time where maybe it's just growing up around like certain environments or whatever that, you know, at one point I wanted to be like the bottle popper DJ. You know, where it was like the thing where it's like I'd go to the club and, you know, after DJing, I'd get bottle service and go super crazy, bro. And I went super crazy. Then I look back and I'd be like, what was this all about? Maybe it was searching for validation, or, you know, trying to be cool or whatever the fuck. But, you know, came to a point where it's like, all right, I'm outgrowing this. Also outside of the fact that it was very expensive, you know. There was like, I guess there used to be like, you know, these are things that get back to you or whatever. Like at one point, I heard it was like a thing to book me because it's like they knew that if I got booked, I was probably going to spend more money than what I was getting paid to DJ.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like at that point, it was like, I feel like once like certain things started to come back to me like that, it was like, all right, you know, this is cool, this is fun, whatever, the optics. But I'm like, I don't want this to become the identity, you know, because I love DJing. This is something I really treasure and value. And I would never want this other thing to become like the thing where you almost like disregard that I'm actually really good at this.
Yeah.
You know, but again, circles back to what I was talking about, like growth and entering these new chapters and finding what's the thing you love within that new page.
Yeah. You grow or you die. That's what they say.
Yeah.
I feel that. It's exciting to watch as well. I was thinking about this the other day, like when I first got on Instagram and I'm like trying to build my brand.
Yeah.
I'm watching other people, right? You're kind of watching other people do the same thing, and you're sort of trying to formulate your moves, and you're trying to calculate what's going on, and you're taking in everything, and you don't ever think about a time. Like I never thought about not being that person. There was never a time when I was like, this brand isn't going to last. Like I'm thinking I'm building something for a lifetime.
Yeah.
But I don't, especially when you're young, you have to realize that like, sure, build whatever you're building, but it can change and that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just like didn't make sense to me. It didn't click until now.
Yeah.
But that's crazy to think about because that's like so stupid. Why? Whoever just does one thing and never ever changes? Maybe some people. I don't know.
Yeah, this is true, bro. I think like it's funny because I share that same sentiment with what we do, right? In the sense of like, I've always thought of like, yo, I'm gonna DJ in nightlife forever, right? To me, I just thought like I would just continue to grow as a DJ and, I don't know, become celebrity DJ and all that. But there's like certain things that I never had any understanding of because I feel like the quote unquote big homies or the OGs never really spoke on that part or share that part, which is the how once you reach a certain age, how things shift a little bit because, you know, you enter your, for sure, mid 30s, like early 30s still, but mid 30s, late 30s. And now it's like your core following, it's not coming out every single night to come see you. And then that starts to have a domino effect on like, you know, what certain promoters look for, like, yo, does he bring out people? And it's like, you know, then you start to see like a decline in your bookings at times, you know, assuming that you don't have good relationships, you know, or bookings outside the city and your own party. Most than anything, if anything, that's one thing I stress to a lot of DJs. Like, yeah, it's cool to be booked, but make sure in the midst of it all, you're pushing your own brand. Because there was many times where it's like certain promo companies or promoters stopped booking me, but I always used to have like a weekly party that it was like, even if such and such person, promoter, company doesn't book me, I'm still good because I got my own thing going on, which led to me not becoming dependent on these companies that a lot of times try to make you fake exclusive to them.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that, like I've seen a lot of DJs drink the Kool-Aid of what a lot of these promoters and companies are selling them on, like, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm team so-and-so and I only DJ for so-and-so. Like there'd be times when I had my own parties and I'd try to book certain DJs from certain promo companies and they'd be like, no, I only DJ such and such parties for such and such company. And then I'd watch this movie happen again, right? Where that company probably finds the next person and either puts that person in the back burner or just completely neglects them. And now they're coming like, yo, bro, you got any bookings? And it's like,
I thought you only DJ'd for...
Yeah. Insert name. You know? And I never wanted to be one of those guys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you got to definitely... Drinking a promoter's Kool-Aid is, I would say 99% of the time, not the best idea. But, you know, I might be wrong.
Hey, man, the way that some
I've been
of these
wrong
DJs
before.
move, bro, they look like they like drinking the Kool-Aid. they definitely drowning in the Kool-Aid.
They're definitely drowning.
Like, hey, man, but if that's what keeps y'all booked, man, by all means, man.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
crazy.
No, that's real shit. You got to have your own party for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be smart about your, like, I like sticking to one thing now that I know what I'm doing, but the younger me, I would never let anybody tell me where I couldn't DJ if you're booking me, you know, like I'm playing here, you're not going to tell me I can't DJ anywhere else because you're not, like, you're paying me, but you're not paying me that much.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What? I don't know. That's that. Yeah, I never fell into that trap, thankfully. That is a trap.
Bro.
That is a big trap out there.
Oh, yeah, bro. Seen too many different episodes of things that sometimes I see some people deal with that it's not that I look down on them, but I just be like, you know, because there's certain times where I don't want to say I'm overprotective of like my younger DJ peers, but I try to give them as much game as possible so they don't fall into some of these traps or don't have to go through maybe certain things I might have experienced. That, if I can cut you 5 years of hard work, I am, for the simple fact that I wish somebody did that for me.
Do you find that a lot of people are taking your advice and willing to listen?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. But also, I think it's also that with me, very particular of who I invest these advice in.
Mm-hmm.
Like my whole thing, it's like I have a good sense of knowing what DJ is gonna go far. There's a lot of DJs I've come across that I saw them when they probably weren't the best at it, struggling in a lot of different areas. But one thing I knew is they want it. And I feel like when somebody wants it, and even if the talent ain't there yet, the skill set isn't as polished, but the work ethic is there and the dedication, that person's gonna go places, and that's why, like, I have a lot of DJs that I, in some way, shape, or form, mentor that I have no regrets, like, for example, like, somebody like Geo Sands, right? Like, he has like this Dango Funk Party and doing a lot of cool stuff. And I remember, like, back when he was younger, like, I would sometimes bring him with me to like some of my gigs, especially my out of state gigs, to have him kind of like, learn the ropes of things. And it's like to see where he has taken some of these things that he still acknowledges till this day to me, and what he's turned it into. I'm like, yo, man, that to me rings more than enough fulfillment, bro. Like, I don't need, nobody to give me credit for any of these kind of things, or, give me any sense of validation for anything that I did that came from a pure place. To me, is seeing somebody reach a level of success through these things. I'm like, that's enough. That's enough. That's how somebody says thank you to me, by, taking these tools, these advice, and, taking it to the next level. Because my whole thing is this, right? That's why I don't ever feel no type of way if somebody, quote unquote, goes further than me, because that's how I look at it, bro. Somebody invented the TV so somebody else could come and invent the flat TV. And
Yeah.
it's all part of, evolution and innovation. And as long as I know I contributed to in some way, some form to that, I'm good.
They do say that the student is supposed to surpass the teacher.
Yeah. And I encourage that.
Yeah.
Always. Because that also fuels me. Like, that keeps the fire burning for me, like seeing a lot of the younger homies and the things they're doing. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna give that a try. I'm gonna give that a try in my own way, and doing this in a way that I'm still authentic to myself.
Do you feel like someone did that for you? You had people help you out along the way,
Yeah.
and you sort of pass that down?
Yeah, for sure. Whether they did it purposely or not, because I think there's just people that I just saw what they were doing, and that right there was enough. Like, for example, with people like DJ Rec, DJ Trilogy, DJ Nonstop, like, those were like individuals that really, rest in peace, DJ Timbuktu. Those are all individuals that really allowed me to shadow them, to be in the same rooms, to, be in sessions, and really give me game on that end of things, right? Which helped me a lot, tremendously, Then there's people like who just led by example, and eventually, mentored me and stuff like that. But like somebody to me that kind of like was leading by example, and I was just watching, and I was like, yo, this is like, I like how this person is. Like somebody like Sean Mack, right? To me, Sean Mack was a big deal to me because it was the first time that I saw a DJ marketing himself like a rapper, like an artist. Like I always used to seeing like, the wrapped trucks with like, whatever album or mixtape, or seeing the billboards or the posters, was usually like you see that for like artists and promoting their next album or whatever. And I literally used to go out and see wrapped trucks with Sean Mack on them, or like the billboards or like the posters outside of the club. And I'm like, yo, this is dope. I want to borrow from this. And then I start thinking even further where I'm like, no one's doing this when it comes to like the Latino space as far as DJs go, which was where I transitioned to, right? Like I was saying, I started in this DJ's journey as a turntablist to moving into like producing hip hop, like I'm hip hop to the core, bro. Like, when I'm first DJing, bro, it's like, I remember 18 and over and DJ Rec, like, giving me like probably like 30 minutes off his set for me to DJ. And keep on there at the time, like people just want to hear straight club music, bro. And I'm in there playing Tribe Called Quest and Wu-Tang and Gangstar, because at the time I have no notion that it's like right music, wrong space. And I learned that. And then from going that to becoming like, the super turn up DJ, playing like all the trap stuff and whatever. And that was my thing. And then, I was always around Latin music, but I didn't identify with it like I identified with hip hop. And it wasn't until 2016 I went on a trip with my dad. My dad had just came home from doing a 20-year bid, and we went to Dominican Republic. We were there for like 3 weeks. So the whole time, like, my dad's a party animal. My dad is currently 75 years old, but this guy does not look 75. And in the gym, this guy is nowhere near. Like, all my younger friends are afraid to lift weights with my dad. Like, it's a strong, young-looking man. Parties like a rock star, bro. So, like, 3 weeks in Dominican Republic with this guy, like, you can only imagine I'm in the nightclub, like, at least 5 times a week. And obviously, as a DJ, I'm just soaking the environment. I'm like, yo, like, before early 2000s reggaeton, I didn't care for it. I thought it was corny. But like this new wave, I'm like, I like it more. And that's when I started to fall in love with like Latin trap, the new age reggaeton that was coming in, Dominican dembow music. And when I'm coming back home from that trip, I'm like, yo, there's no place that are paying these new artists. At the time, we're talking about 2015, 2016. So we're talking artists like Bad Bunny, early on. Before Bad Bunny's doing reggaeton, he's doing Latin trap.
Yeah, did he lead the way of Latin trap, or did he just get the biggest of it? Like, did he start that sound?
No, he did not start it, but he was in that timing, and he probably took it the furthest.
Okay.
But at that time, it's literally, before it's even him, there's other people like Arcangel, who are really opening the doors to that wave. Like, these dudes started as reggaeton artists. Reggaeton came back down. Then the Latin trap comes. And then the Latin trap kind of opened the door to reggaeton being popping again. And so, like, at that time, before a lot of these artists go reggaeton, they're doing the Latin trap thing. And there wasn't nowhere here in the city that played that. But there was a lot of people who enjoy that music. And that's where, like, my Masada residency comes in, It's the first time that's like you can go to a place to hear this kind of music, hear these artists, and have fun, dance again, and smoke hookah. And
a little Sunday over at Masada with those on, smoking on a hookah.
Yeah. And that right there, it was almost like another reinvention for me, DJ wise, because now it's like I just came from, the super hip hop DJ to the trap DJ to now it's like Latin DJ, and that then opened a lot of doors for me, bro. Like, as far as like outside the city, like that's probably what did it to like starting to get, monthly residencies in Miami, Atlanta, LA, doing a lot of cool collaboration and big events like doing Dominican night in collaboration with the Bulls at the United Center, bro. Like, before me, nobody had ever, like, what, to take my community and really, like, do something where it's in one of the most historical spaces in the city, you know? That was everything. And then to not end there, then I went and did it again with the White Sox. Like, you know, that time, like, the White Sox literally presented me with an honorary award on the field with my son next to me. My son's probably like 5 years old at the time, bro. Like, to me, it's like stuff like that is awesome because, again, you know, it wasn't just a win for me, but I looked at it like a win for us Latinos because it's like nobody was doing stuff like that. And that's not to discredit all my OGs that, you know, did really amazing things. It's just almost like they passed the baton and I continued the same way that I'm doing the same with a lot of these younger DJs that, you know, are doing amazing things, you know. And I know they're going to do the same because I feel like a lot of these younger DJs, they definitely need guidance, bro. Like, you know, because you got a batch of them that, you know, come in with this sense of entitledness, you know, and I feel it's that sense of entitledness comes from a lack of guidance, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've come to notice. So
yeah, like the participation trophy, like we're not going to correct your wrongs because that would be mean.
Yeah,
kind of attitude. Like,
yeah, bro.
Is it mean? Like, no,
I'm
it's
pro
not
mean DJs, dog. I'm gonna say that I'm as good as I am because a lot of these older DJs were assholes, bro. And I think that is necessary, bro. Timbuktu, God rest his soul, love him to death, bro. I'm glad, you know, a lot of people would say that about Tim. That he was an asshole. And I'm like, to this day, we needed that.
That's how, like, you know who really knew him, right? Like, if they'd say some shit like that, you're like, oh, you really knew that motherfucker.
Yeah, bro. Like, but I feel like that right there, like, a lot of these DJs, them being assholes, that's what led to me sharpening my sword, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because you knew you were sometimes going to open for these individuals, and you know what time it was going to be if you had a shitty set. Like,
yeah.
They were not going to hold back. They were not going to hold back. And I feel like now we're in that, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you're absolutely right. That's fucking true. Yeah. You need a little bit of fear to push you along the way. Like, you're scared to fuck up in front of this dude. And if and when you do, probably, you're going to hear about it. You're going to go home. You're going to get better. And the next time, you're going to be better and you're not going to fuck it up.
Yeah.
It's real shit.
Yeah, bro.
Never really thought about that. So we got to get back to being assholes is what you're saying.
100%, bro. 100%, bro. A lot of, you know.
We got to keep the gates.
Yeah, bro. Like, stop feeding these DJs Gerber.
Yeah, bro. No, it's like, I hate the gatekeeping term. I hate it. Like, yeah, we have something incredible. Like, if you have something amazing, you protect it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, there's somebody standing at the gates of anything important because it needs protection. Does that mean that you can't come in? No. But, like, does it mean that you can't just walk in and go wherever you want? Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just became something that, like, if you're a nice person, you don't gatekeep. And, like, if you're gatekeeping, you're a bad person. And it's like, nah, there's so much context to everything. Like, DJing is amazing and it's glorious and it has given me everything that I have in this life. So I'm going to value it as so.
Yeah, bro. I mean, think about it, bro. Kind of think of it like body shaming. You know? Like, imagine if, like, you were overweight and people told you that was okay and then you die from a heart attack. That would suck, bro.
That would suck.
You know, being overweight, being called fat, and it force you to do something about it. You know, I think that's the same thing where it's like, Some people call it gatekeeping. I look at it as like being selective strategically for,
Yeah.
The best of it all.
We're rebranding
Yeah.
gatekeeping.
Yeah. There you
Strategic
go.
selection.
Yes. There you go. 1,000%. Gatekeeping, it's like, because it's really not that, bro. It's like, we've seen so many people that got into certain situations and positions and, ruined it for everybody else. So,
Yeah. And this is a beautiful thing we have here. This community, this atmosphere, just this DJing.
yeah.
It's been bastardized a little bit. Like when I had to tell my wife's parents that I'm a DJ, I was like nervous about it. Like I should be able to walk up in there and be like, I'm a fucking DJ. Like that's dope.
You should have. Well, here's the thing, right? Maybe it wasn't about telling them that you're a DJ. It was about walking in there and telling them, I'm DJ Strategy.
I like
now
that.
It's packaged different. Now it's not. I'm not just a DJ.
Yeah.
I am him, and him is DJ Strategy.
I like that.
That's how I walk in a lot of rooms. Especially when it comes to like where I've had to meet like certain of my former girlfriend's parents, where it was like, you guys are lucky that I'm dating your daughter.
You pull them in the room and tell them.
Like, I'm just saying, like, she had a lot of other options, but, this right here comes every million years. So, you should be happy.
That.
That didn't really help. I just want to add that there. Like, the majority of them probably hated me even more.
Yeah. But you're working on it. You're working on the pitch.
Maybe not, bro. I'm not gonna lie. But maybe on how to make it more pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bring them out, let them see you in action.
Yeah.
Have your comp bottle say like a cool sign like, hey, welcome, insert last name.
Yeah, yeah. No, what do all the bottles say now? I'm broke, but the condom ain't.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, whatever. The condom broke, but I ain't.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite ones, bro. I've seen a lot of good ones, bro, but I'd be like, man, I don't know if I could do that anymore.
Yeah,
like in the sense where it's like, I don't want to be the unk in the club, just
unk in the
doing
club.
all this nonsense that it's like,
I need to make that a handle, an Instagram account, unk in the club.
Yeah.
And you got to just film old people in the club.
There's a lot.
I have a question that's just been burning. It's just been burning inside of me for as long as I've known you, actually, and I've never really had the chance to sit down and ask you about it until now.
Yeah.
As we know, your first pair of techniques came from a Latin Kings affiliate.
Yes.
So we know that you grew up in that world.
Yeah.
You've been shot.
That is correct. That was definitely 2012.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah.
That's pretty insane. Getting shot is, I think, one of my biggest fears because it's like not that out of the realm of things, unfortunately.
Coming home from DJing at Beauty Bar on a Thursday.
That's fucked. I would like to hear this story if you're willing to tell it.
Yeah. I think it's just until further notice, because to this day I don't know. So I always say it. Right place, wrong time. Because this really happened in front of my mom's. Me and my mom, we lived on the same block, but I lived across the street. But where I was double parked was in front of my mom's house. At that time, I'm like, I don't owe anybody money. I don't think I'm taking down anybody's girl, wife, or whatever. So I'm already subtracting like the two possibilities why somebody could dislike me that much. So that's why I say right place. 'Cause I'm literally in front of my house.
Yeah.
Just wrong timing. So I was double parked there, with this young lady at the time who eventually became my girlfriend for like 8 years. That was probably like our second time hanging out.
Jesus,
Yeah,
bro.
that was pretty. So talk about a traumatic intro, right?
That's crazy. Yeah.
So I'm there double parked because I'm like trying to see if there'll be a parking that would free up, and
Just waiting on a spot. Classic Chicago move.
Yeah.
Just hang out. You're hanging with the girl. Maybe someone will pull out. You get to take the spot.
Yes, there you go. You set the tone. So I'm there. Across the street, there's a car wash. It's called Glitz. It's on Augusta. And in that car wash, there's a set of stairs next to it for the apartment upstairs. So the whole time, there's a person sitting there with a black hoodie on. I'm not thinking much of it because there's been many times there's been people sitting there, like whether there's the people who live there, like they're smoking their weed on the stairs or whatever. So and probably like even like 30 minutes went by and this person is there. So I didn't, I'm not thinking much of it, just whatever. Again, I'm like, I don't got any ops or any of that type stuff. So my mind is not there. So at some point, I hear this noise and I'm like, okay. So as I turn around, the glass breaks and I'm like, and I see that person getting closer to the car, just shooting. And my first thing was like, I grabbed the girl who was with me. I grabbed her head and threw her down. I put my body over her. So then they're shooting, a lot of people, they say like every time I tell the story, everybody's like, why didn't you drive away? But so much going on in your mind that like, in the movies, that's the thing you see people do. But I'm so in a state of shock that was just my thing. I just threw myself down. This person is just shooting. Like I remember like they were walking towards me, shooting from across the street. And by the time I like made the react, they were already in the front windshield, like shooting. I just threw myself down. The shots come to an end, which my assumption is possibly he ran out of bullets. I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'm going to stay down because clearly this person's intention was to kill me. It's one thing when somebody's shooting at you, but when somebody's walking to you and just emptying the whole clip, that person wants to straight kill you. So I stood down because I'm like, I'm going to play the part like if I die, and I'm literally telling the girl like, don't move, like, So like 5 minutes go by. I'm playing dead. I'm like, all right, it could be two things. They ran out of bullets, they ran away, or they're probably still sitting here waiting to see if I get up so they can, keep shooting. So I'm slowly but surely like lifting my head up, looking around. I'm like, okay, I don't see. At that point, once I confirmed that's when I drove off. And in the midst of that, like, my mom calls my phone and I'm telling her, like, as I'm circling, then I circle the block. By the time I circle the block back, the ambulance, the police is there and all that. Apparently, my barber used to live next door and he said he saw the whole thing and he was the one who called the cops. Shout out to him.
Damn. Did he know it was you too? Or he just saw
he didn't know because at the time we were in her car. Yeah. So he probably didn't know that it was me, but he said he saw it. So when I come back around, ambulance, cops, everything, I remember the whole time as I'm lifting my head, I had this eye closed. I had my right eye closed. And I had my hand over it. Why? I don't know. But I remember when I looked down and I lift my hand up, I see a bunch of blood on the middle console. So I'm already like, fuck, but I don't feel anything yet, or I'm thinking like, damn, she got hit. Nothing. So then pretty much I get out the car, the cops and the paramedics start rushing me like, no, no, no. And I'm like, what? I'm good. But the whole time I'm bleeding and I don't know. I when I tell you I didn't feel nothing. And but I kind of know like the only thought I had was they shot my eye out. Cause I remember at one point I did this and I see my hand full of blood. So I'm like, all right. But I'm still like not freaking out or whatever. So they make me get in the ambulance. We go to Cook County Hospital. I don't know why they took me to Cook County Hospital if I lived by St. Mary's.
Yeah,
I still
weird.
don't know what that might have been all about. But it worked out better to my advantage because I guess because I was taken to Cook County, I didn't have to pay the hospital bill because I guess supposedly when something like that happens that has to do with gun violence, gang violence, like you don't have to pay the hospital bill. I don't know what that's all about.
That's good.
But
I'm not mad at that.
So I went there and I'm like, okay, I'm literally laying on this bed. I'm looking down and I see blood, but I don't feel
still
anything.
Don't know at this
I
point.
don't know. Like, so it's like, my whole thing's like, I don't feel anything, so I'm not thinking the worst, but I'm like, this blood came from somewhere. She's totally fine. It's funny because I guess one of the bullets went through her headrest. And they're like, I remember the detectives telling me, that girl owes you because you saved their life. And I'm like, what you mean? It's like, if you would have not pushed that girl down, that bullet was going to go through her head. And I'm like, all right.
Crazy.
So I get to the hospital. At that point, that's when it's figuring out like, okay, like one, like near my leg, nothing crazy. Just a graze. And then there was one, I guess, that ricocheted and went this way, my right eye. So like for like 2 months I had to wear a patch and there was like a 50-50 thing of whether I was going to be able to see again or not. I remember they strapped my head to like some machine that was holding my head and then some machine that would hold my eye open. They put something in my eye, I'm assuming to numb my eye, and they were literally pulling out bullet fragments.
Oh my God. Literally, you got shot in the face, in the eye,
in
in your eyeball.
No, because the way it went, so I guess the bullet ricocheted, so it went up. It didn't go like in. So it was more like a graze, but still I was injured.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, so that was probably like the more serious one because that kind of was whether I was going to be able to see again or not. And I remember like for like those first like month and a half, like everything just looked blurry. Like I had a patch that I had on and, I would have to go like every week because they had to put like certain drops in my eye and kind of see how everything was going. And then as time went, it went from like foggy to cloudy to like, just eventually like clearing out. And I'm like, then I no longer had to wear the patch. And yeah, that was that incident.
So this dude is walking at your car, emptying a full clip.
Yeah.
She didn't get hit at all.
Right.
You got grazed on the leg and in your eye.
Yeah. Divine intervention at its finest.
Fuck, bro.
That's the only thing I could say. I'm like, divine intervention at its finest. Because I'm like, I what are the chances like this person, like I didn't drive off. They're literally walking like.
And you played dead.
Yeah.
Dude, what the fuck, man? So, and to this day, you don't know who this dude is, why this happened. I mean, how long after that, how long does the feeling of like, yo, somebody tried to execute me and now I just have to like go live my life. I'm not dead, obviously, so maybe they want to finish the job. Like, how do you even fucking leave your crib after that?
So again, because I just didn't feel like clearly this person, it's evident they wanted to kill me, right? But there was still a part of me that I'm like, I can't connect or think of anybody that I'm like, who would want to do this to me, or who I had done, I had done to somebody, you know. But then I've also come to learn in the world that sometimes there are people in the world who dislike you or have a hate for you that you might not even know, you know.
Bro.
Like, it's a lot of scenarios like that. But I knew I was alive. The only thing that changed was clearly my mom didn't want me living in the neighborhood, so I ended up moving to like Niles for a
Nice.
bit.
That's like where I'm from.
Yeah, so I was living out that way for a little bit, for a year. Then the second year, when that lease ended, I went to Elmwood Park. And then eventually I came back to the neighborhood like 2 years later. But that was probably like the only thing. But to say that I was like living in some crazy fear, maybe I wouldn't say that was the case. And I think probably I have a very interesting way of dealing with traumatic events, because I've dealt with my fair share, from, you know, being tied up, being held hostage, kind of thing, like, you know.
That both of those things happen to you?
Yeah. So it's like that. And I think it begins even since I was a kid. Like, for example, like, obviously I talked about how my dad was in jail for 20 years. It was a drug trafficking case. But I remember being like, I was like 8 years old when it was like a crazy, like, sweep, like the feds like come and just like break into your house and are breaking everything. And, you know, so like maybe it has to do that from a early on time in life, I dealt with certain very intense things that when I found myself in certain situations, it's like, I know there's a possibility I might die, but, you know, the trauma is not as permanent, you know. I had a situation when I worked for a certain store here in the city that, you know, the owners were involved in certain business, and some people came in thinking that they were going to find something in that business, and I was working, and they literally like tied me up and, you know, asking me like, you know, where's whatever hiding at. And I'm the whole time I have no knowledge of what's going on in the background. I'm just the person that works here,
bro.
and you know, I'm thinking that same thing where I'm like, yo, I don't have no information to give these people. They tie me up, right? And they have me sitting in a chair. At one point, they take me from that chair and they lay me flat on the floor, face down. So at that point, I'm like, all right, I know what's about to happen here. Keep in mind, at the same time, God bless DJ Rec, because I'd say he's probably the one who saved me. We had a thing where we buzz people in. Like, you could see, like, we had windows. It was a business, but you had to get buzzed in.
Like a jewelry store.
Yes. DJ Rec was scheduled to come meet up with me that day at the store, and he showed up and he kept buzzing. He saw me through the side. He couldn't tell what was going on, but he said he saw a look on my face and he saw these two men there, and he said he just knew something was going on that wasn't right, and he just kept buzzing. The dudes, they got nervous because obviously, you know, now there's somebody that's identified them, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they put me face down, I'm thinking like, yo, these dudes gonna shoot me in the back of the head or whatever. And they're like, is there a back exit? And I'm like, yeah. And next thing you know, I'm hearing the steps, and I'm literally stuck there, tied up.
Yo, how are you tied? Like your hands behind your back?
Yeah.
Jesus, bro. And in that moment, you have no idea why this is happening. You're just like, all right, guess I'm rolling with this.
I learned after.
Yeah.
I learned after.
Yeah.
Yeah. After, I was like, you know, at first I'm just like, all right, you know. And
fucking.
yeah.
Damn.
So
bro.
again, I've experienced a lot of crazy things that I feel like, for example, that happened, right? The owners, they were like, yo, we're okay if you don't want to work here anymore, you know, totally understandable, blah, blah, blah. And they're very transparent about everything. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And I literally went to work the next day.
My God, bro. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane. And so the dude who shot you, do you feel like did you press the issue on finding out who it was? I mean, like it through law
Other people
enforcement
did.
or whatever.
Other people did.
Do you feel
from
like
the neighborhood?
do you feel like they like did a good job at trying to find this person, or you were kind of like, because I mean, you tell me obviously, but I feel like I would be in that police station every day, like trying to figure this out. But I feel like you, not so much. You're like, I'm happy to be here and let me just keep going, baby.
You know, it's crazy because I feel like, as far as from the part of like law enforcement, whatever, I feel like they did a better. They were, I think they were more on their job during the store incident, right? Like that store incident that I just shared with you. Like it was to the point like they literally took me to an interrogation room asking all these questions, versus like with the shooting incident, I'm like, it was literally the last time I saw those individuals was in that hospital, and
so they didn't
No
even
phone
do
call.
a good job
No.
at
at all. At
yeah, that's fucked.
all. At all. At all. I'm
That's
like,
fucked.
yeah. So
And how old were you at that time?
26. Yeah.
Damn, bro.
26, bro. 26. I remember my son's mother was pregnant at the time, so I'm thinking like, I'm not gonna get to see my first child. So, it was a very interesting timing. But 2012, that happened in 2012. That was like 2012 was a very eventful year, right? But then 2013 was a great year because I dealt with a lot of those things in 2012. But then 2013, I got to tour with Kid Cudi, thanks to Canal. That was also the same year that Acid Rap dropped by Chance the Rapper, which that really helped a lot for my career on the producer side. So it was like a lot of good things that took place the following year. So I always find that contrast really interesting, that 2012 went from a very shitty, eventful year in a bad way to like, But my homie Ruben, he says this thing that sometimes when bad things happen to you that are not supposed to happen to you, he has this saying that the universe will give it back to you plus more. And I think 2013 was definitely a showcase of that.
Yeah. Because I imagine, I mean, like, you're just sitting there in the whip and someone just comes and someone that's been standing there for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, like, did he think you were about to snitch on him or something? Like, I don't think he was, like, waiting for you because it's like.
The only thing that could maybe had been a possibility, there was a gang war going on at that time. So maybe it could have been that thing where that person probably thought I was part of that gang from the neighborhood, which from that one I was not. And they were, because it was a very like back and forth kind of thing, because I would always be in tune with like the stories, like, oh, such and such gang came and this and that. So that's probably the closest thing where, mistaken identity type thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately I had a friend of mine named Omar who lived in the same neighborhood. He lived like on the block behind mine's, and cool dude. He wasn't a gang member, but he definitely like, had the family members and always was like hanging around them. But super cool dude, bro, like heavy on his studies, and the same exact scenario happened to him the following week.
Damn.
He didn't make it.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so
That's
it
fucked.
was like, again, like 2012 was very eventful, and that was like, I remember that was a thing in the neighborhood at that time, which is, crazy because we're probably at the highest point of gentrification on that block, which was Augusta between Rockwell and Campbell. And people think that like when certain neighborhoods get gentrified, it automatically means that you know, all that kind of activities out the window, and it's clearly not the case, especially in this city. But yeah, man.
I'm glad you made it, my boy.
Yeah,
and that's
same, bro.
dude. That's a thick story, dog.
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
That shit strikes fear in me, dog.
Yeah.
I'm like not from that kind of neighborhood. Yeah. It's not something that I've dealt with.
Yeah.
I've like never. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy, bro.
So, you know, I always look back and all these things I'm surviving. I'm like, you know, very thankful and grateful for everything that I've been able to accomplish, because I know there could have been many times where I would have not been able to see a lot of the great things and accomplishments that I've reached.
Yeah, you're absolutely here for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to keep reaching and accomplishing.
Yeah.
Because there have been too many times when you when that could have ended.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think now more than ever, especially getting older, like, you know, being better at moving with precaution and intention. So, you know, because that's what those things will do to you. A lot of those scenarios, if I'm being honest, at that moment didn't like really set in where it's like I was able to reflect on, whoa, what just happened, you know. But then as I've gotten older and revisiting a lot of those scenarios, it's like, oh shit, you know, like I've been given another chance many times, you know, with divine intervention, guardian angels, etc. You know, I don't take where I'm at today for granted. You know, even when I like hang out with my son, you know, like to be in his life and knowing that there was a chance that would not have been possible to me, like that's brings a lot of emotions.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. You're an inspiration, absolutely. And I'm glad that people get to watch this and soak that up a little bit and take that.
For sure.
Get to pass that along.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much that we didn't even touch on. So we're definitely going to have to do this again.
I'm with it, bro.
But this is amazing, bro. I knew it was going to be great. Yeah. I don't know why you were trying to evade me for so long.
You know, and like I had mentioned, bro, like I've watched a lot of the interviews on here, and maybe it was probably like feeling like everybody always had like an interesting, cool story. And maybe because you're your own hardest critic, you start to think like, you know, I don't got much to talk about. But then as time goes, and even from having this conversation, it's like, dang, I've lived a lot.
Yeah, bro, you got to reflect, soak that up a little bit.
Yeah,
I might have to throw on that Cool Ass Ninjas mixtape.
Oh, man, bro.
Dude, every time I go to say that, I get nervous that I'm going to like slip up and say the wrong word.
Well, you know, that it's funny, right? Because I named the tape that because I was like, okay, I could have went a different direction, but then I'm like, I don't want to like censored like on these blogs or whatever, because you know this is like blog era, you know, which I was definitely always fighting to get on. Like funny story is, bro, and shout out Andrew at Fake Shore Drive.
Oh hell yeah!
Like, you know, I was always like doing these tapes and trying to get on there, and they never made it on there. And my whole thing was like, you know what? All right, I didn't make it on Fake Shore Drive. I'm gonna aim for whatever quote unquote blog is bigger, and that's like what Cool Ass Ninjas kind of solidified that. But again, this goes back to the whole gatekeeping thing, right? Because I'm like, when I think back of like what things I was submitting, it was like nothing special. That I was like, shout out to him being selective of what he would put on there, because that created the domino effect to, you know, like pushing further. And, you know, then eventually I did make it on there and developed a very awesome relationship with him, you know, and a very supportive relationship on his end, bro. And
yeah,
so
it's just like you said, you gotta be an asshole. Not that he was an asshole, but you gotta
yeah,
make sure the shit that's coming in is good.
yeah,
It's what it is. It's gonna
Yeah.
make people better. If
Yeah.
it's not good enough, it's not to say you can't come, but get better.
yeah.
Come back.
If you quit after the first no, then you probably weren't built for it anyway.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. How you feeling? Should we wrap this bad boy? Put a little button on it?
Hey, man, you know, it's the first of many.
Let's go,
You
champ.
know, we're gonna keep this going, bro, and I appreciate you having me. My apologies for delaying this. You know, that's my fault for second guessing myself, but we made it, bro.
We made it. It's all good. It happens when it's supposed to.
Facts.
Thank you guys for watching. If you're on YouTube, like the video, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. A little algorithm activating activity. Let's go, champ. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Well, alright. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin. That's what I love about the human soul. It'll usually show when the truth ain't told. Use a lie.